Hi everybody, I'm smiling but you can't see it. I'm really happy to be here. My name's Julia Lazarek and I'm the president of the Friends and Family of Incarcerated Persons, a support group that helps people on the outside who have loved ones that are on the inside. And we have support group meetings, we have webinars, and we have a lecture series, and that's what we're doing today. And I'm very, very happy to present to you Robert Strawder. And Robert Strawder will present ways that families can help reduce recidivism for their loved ones and help them rise above and succeed when returning to society. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Robert before we start. Having grown up on the mean streets of the Donna Street projects, no one would have blamed Robert Strawder if he'd wound up dead or in prison. And that was the direction his life appeared to be headed, involved in drugs, drug running, prostitutes, burglary, and most any other criminal activity that the seedier side of life offered. Robert had the resume of someone going nowhere. However, because of avenues afforded through athletics, music, politics, mentors, and good family, Robert defied the odds and climbed out of the cesspool of criminal life. He's an African-American success story. His story is one of tremendous achievement. He defied the odds and won. When one door closed, another opened, and Robert did his due diligence to excel at his new opportunities. He went from thug to hip-hop artist, from pimp to music mogul, and developed a sense of community that caught the eye of political operatives who felt his abilities would be powerful incentives for the youth coming up in the same mean environment of the Donna Street projects. Like his life before him, he has a message and he wants the world to hear it, to feel it, and to benefit from it. Robert is frank about his failings and pulls no punches in what things he did to cause his own troubles. But he's also quick to point out that it's never too late to turn the corner and start over. With a checklist for parents and kids, Robert has developed a method for helping anyone willing to turn over a new chapter in their lives. His motivation is infectious, and anyone, whether they're from the tougher parts of a town or the best, can benefit greatly from his message about where youth go when they are unsure of what they want in life. So I'd like to present Robert Strawder.
Thank you, Julia. That was a great intro. I want to say hello to everyone. I am Robert Strawder. I'm a transformation specialist. And what you're reading is where you come from does not dictate where you end up in life. And that's what, like my slogan is, because I wouldn't be here if I let where I began from, focus on where I was headed. So I am an entrepreneur, middle-aged entrepreneur. I'm a CEO of Vegaston Enterprises, a single father, recording artist, filmmaker, writer, director, actor, and now author, mentor, motivation speaker. In 2018, I became a congressional candidate, and I'm running this year as a congressional candidate. My journey, it wasn't easy. It was a hard journey. My mother, she had me at 16 years old, and she was in California. That's where, I was born in California. She was 16 years old, she had me. She met a slick-talking Vegas guy, and he came out here. He came to LA, he was going to college, he dropped out, and he told my mother that it's better life in Las Vegas, and he wanted to marry her. So he moved her out here with me and my brother, and I never forget it because I just had bad vibes, because I was out there with my father at the time. And when I moved out here, I didn't know he was a drug addict. He did like heroin, he did cocaine, he did, weed, pop pills. And I didn't know he was that type of person. But when I found out, it was too late when he was beating on my moms and doing everything. So what I decided to do is when in the first grade, I'm gonna flunk the first grade. So when I flunked the first grade, my mother had sent me back to Los Angeles to my real father, and I won't deal with him, but that didn't work. All she did was say, oh, that's cool. Now you could be in the same grade as your little brother. So that's the only reason that I graduated, you know. So long story short, man, I was dealing with my mom and her husband, and he used to beat on her, and I specifically remember when I was about 10 years old, and she's getting ready to go to work, he beats on her, he gives her a black eye, I hit him in the back with a skateboard, and when I hit him in the back with the skateboard, he punched me in the chest, and and then when she go to work, he locked me in the closet, told me don't get in grown folks' business. So I tell my mom when she get back and they fight again. So it was just an on cycle, and that's what made me become a bully in school. So I started bullying in school, fighting kids, cussing out teachers, getting suspended all the time, being a problematic kid. And, I didn't think that I was even gonna graduate or anything because I was hating everything, hating life, getting beat on all the time, physically, mentally, getting abused. And I just couldn't handle it. And one day my stepdad was cooking spaghetti. And they were arguing, and because he always messes checks up. Like one Christmas, it was like December the 24th. And we stood in line for like 2 hours. We had 2 baskets of clothes. And when we got to the front counter, he was like, I messed up the check, right? We waited 2 hours, went up there. It was the worst Christmas ever. We didn't have any toys or anything. And my mom just resented them after that. They just started fighting. And my sister, because she has 5 kids. I'm the oldest. So my sister is like, she was about 4 years old, and we had caught the flu. And back then, you put a towel over a pot and the steam come, and it cleanses you out per se. And he did me, he did my brother, and then he hit the heroin needle again, and he got my sister, and he nodded off and hit the pot, and half her face got scarred from the boiling water. So if you meet her today, she's I respect her so much because I know a woman, your face is everything pretty much, your body, your face, and she didn't ask for that, and her face is all messed up. So we had a lot of reasons not to like this guy. And one night, he comes in the house, beats on my mom. This time she's tired of it, and she stabs him like 3 or 4 times. And she was outside in the car. She ran in the house, and we hit her in our closet. And we hit her in our closet. He kicked in the door, and he was like, "Where's she at? Where the B at? Where is she at? I'm gonna kill her." We was like, "We don't know." She went outside and she left. And then he go outside looking for her. He couldn't find her, and he just drove off. And that's the last time we had seen him. And that was like when I was in the 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade. And that's the last time we saw him. He ended up dying from the needles. He caught AIDS. So, I was like glad he was gone, but when he left, it left such a hard burden on my mother because she had to take care of all of us. It was 5 of us. And then, I seen it wearing her down from us being hungry, not having clothes, school clothes, nothing like that. And then all of a sudden, the crack epidemic hit America, and it hit my family. My dad, he wasn't ever around me. I heard he was on crack. And then my mother got on it when I got in the 10th grade. So when I was in the 10th grade, she was like disappeared. And we wouldn't have like no food, the power would be off. And I'm trying to figure out like what happened to the food stamps? You know what I'm saying? What happened to the check so we can pay the mortgage here or the rent? And she never come around because she told us later on that she was embarrassed. And then so I told my brothers and sisters, I was 16, my brother was 15, my sisters, 3 of them, 13, 11, and 5. And I was like, dang, what should we do? We got to turn ourselves into social services. And they was like, I don't know, we don't want to do that because then we're going to get separated. There's 5 of us. And I said, well, if we don't do that, then I'll just start hustling. I'll start hustling, and if I start hustling, we have to take a family oath. What's the family oath? One, you won't tell your friends because you know your friends tell on you and tell your business. Two, our family not doing nothing for us anyway, so we not gonna do nothing to them. And three, definitely we can't tell our teachers. And we said, okay, we made that family oath. I never forget when I was first serving, I bought pizza and chicken wings because we was eating mayonnaise sandwiches, we was eating taco shells with mayonnaise, scraping the ice off the refrigerator, just, taking cold baths. We would put the bowl of water in the microwave, try to fill up the tub, and it'd always be cold. So all of a sudden now I'm in the 10th grade and we eating pizza and chicken wings, and I'm buying the school clothes, and then the whole time I'm starring on the basketball team, and I was MVP every year. Every year I was MVP. My mom, my dad never saw me play one game. I got a scholarship. In the process of me going, doing my hustling, I got a scholarship, and I was like, told my sister and them and my brother, I don't want to leave y'all because how we gonna eat? They said, we gonna be able to handle it. Just come out here on the weekend. And I said, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So 6 hours away, I went to Porterville Junior College, 6 hours away. And then every Friday after my class, I would pack up and drive my car to Vegas, and then I hustle and do whatever I had to do. So in the process of me doing that, my basketball coach, he was mad at me all the time because he like, you never here, you always going to Las Vegas. Because I didn't tell him, but I'm telling you guys that I had to take care of my family. And I wasn't starting at the time, so I specifically remember a time there was a white guy that was starting from me from North Carolina. And I was mad because I sprained my ankle. He told me to do something, and I picked up the basketball racks and threw the whole basketball racks at my coach. And then I was like, dang, and so I went home, packed all my stuff, was like, I'm getting kicked off the team after doing that. And my roommate was like, no, he told you to come tomorrow. We play Fresno State, and come tomorrow. And I came, the next morning. He just said, how you doing? I told him I apologize, whatever. He said, it's okay, you got angry, whatever. And I started my first game in college. That's how I started it. And I ended up hitting 19 points. We beat Fresno State for the first time in the school history. And it was one of the happiest times I ever had as a college guy. And then the next thing you know, this girl, she followed me. She'd be trying to talk to me like for the whole year while I was in college, and when she followed us from basketball practice to my dorm, and then she was trying to talk to me, whatever. Long story short, she said that I tried to rape her. So I went to jail. I was on the front page of the newspapers, and I went to jail for 2 weeks. And a person in jail, he wrote an habeas corpus. You guys know what habeas corpus is? Habeas corpus is like a written statement or letter identifying issues and problems. And he told the warden at the jail, he's 18 years old. You guys know he didn't rape nobody. You don't string him up, let him go, and whatever. And the warden came down the next day and was like, yeah, Robert Strawder? And I was like, yeah, that's me. He said, you threatened me, boy? I was like, no. He was like, well, okay, you can get out of jail. We letting you out. And that's how I got out of jail. But because of the jailhouse attorney, he was going to do life or something, and I don't know. He saved my life. So when I got out of college, when I left the jailhouse, they told me to run to Denny's. I ran to Denny's, hit and stalled number 2, called my coach before I did that, told him to come and get me on the stall 2. And my coach came and got me, and he drove me, he fed me and drove me back, and he was like, man, I knew that you were gonna be trouble when Dee Dee Harris went to jail out in Vegas with you, because I used to bring the star players with me, and I'd be selling drugs and drinking with them. And I was outside, and the gang unit saw me, came around and searched the car, and it was my gun in the car, and he was in the car, so they took him. So my coach was already mad, like nobody never could go to Vegas again with this Vegas guy. So I leave college. I was crying. I thought I was gonna play for the Lakers and move my mother and them out the projects, and that didn't happen. So I was drove back to Las Vegas, and I said, I'm gonna become a kingpin. And that's what I did. My uncle, he came out to Vegas. He was a high roller, Caesar's Palace. And I was like, man, I'm out here nickel and diming, but I want to do it big because I'm tired of living in the projects and taking care of the family. And he gave me my first big weight, and he put a gun on the table. And he said, how many dudes, friends you got? I said, I don't really mess with dudes. I don't have no friends, just family. And he said, well, this gun and them bullets is your friends in this game you're about to get in. And that's how I lived my whole life, like, you know, with what he instilled in me. And next thing you know, I moved my family out the projects. We ended up moving, I moved my mother and them to Charleston and Ellis and some apartments over there, and I bought my first piece of property at 19. And in the midst of me doing that and getting in gang fights and gang shootouts, police always trying to get me, my mother had finally, after 4 years, turned herself into drug rehab. And she called me and she said, baby, I got a Bible. She said, I got my Bible. I did like you said, because I didn't talk to my mother for like 2 years. She called me, whatever. I wouldn't mess with her because I was mad. And she said, I got my Bible. God told me that you shouldn't sell no drugs today. And then my grandma, who took care of me and bought me my first pairs of Jordans in high school, she called me. She said, baby, I had a dream. God told me don't sell no drugs. So this day I'm spooked because they don't even like each other or talking to each other. And 2 hours apart, they called me and they said that God told them the same thing. So I'm like, I'm not touching no drugs, no nothing. My boy can handle everything. So my boy that wanted the drugs, he played on my basketball team, the high school basketball team. I didn't know that his dad was a police officer. So he got arrested. His dad made him set me up. And they were calling me on my phone. The long story short, the nasty boys and the SWAT, they came and they arrested me and all my friends, like dealing with him. I didn't have nothing, no drugs, no nothing. And I was like, why am I in jail? They said, oh, when we lifted you off the ground, 2 ounces of dope fell out your pocket. That's how I got my first 3 felonies. So when I got those felonies, I was so depressed. I didn't know what to do. It was my first time ever in jail. I was in jail for about a week. I didn't know what to do. This older dude, he was like, what's going on? I told him. He said, well, first you need to bail out of jail. You need to get an attorney. You got to go get your car because they impounded my car. And he told me all this things, so all my money, it was gone. So all the money that I hustled up with, it was $20,000 to get my attorney. It was $3,000 to get my car out the impound. Bail out, it was $10,000 or $20,000, I forgot what it was, but a long story short, my girlfriend who I had, she stole $20,000 from me too. So when she stole $20,000 from me, I didn't have any more money left. So we go, and I'm like asking her where my money at, I gotta pay these dudes, I don't wanna get killed, whatever. And then she was like, well, I don't have it. So I start robbing people then, you know what I'm saying? Just doing, because I was desperate, and it's nothing to brag about. This is what I tell individuals, like the ups and downs of life, how you make your mistakes. So from one mistake of me selling drugs and dropping out of school, to me catching 3 felonies, to now I'm robbing people, or attempting to rob people in houses and stuff like that. So my homeboys, they were professional thieves, on Donna Street, because you guys ever heard of Donna Street? Anybody? Okay, well, Donna Street is one of the worst neighborhoods in Las Vegas. On Gangland's History Channel, they have, when it's Las Vegas, it talks about Donna Street. So, I'm like, forget it. I'm gonna just go with you guys and we're gonna start robbing. So my sister, I got out of jail for a home invasion that I did. I got caught. I went to jail. My sister, I get out of jail, I see her, she has a cut on her lip, and she was like, yeah, this dude beat me up. I was like, what's his address? And she gave me his address. She said, yeah, he a high roller, whatever. So me and my boys go to hit his house. We break the window, we look for everything, we can't find nothing. I hear screaming outside, I run outside, my homeboy has a gun on the neighbor. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning. He write my license plate number down. He like, let go of that, take it, throw that pencil and paper down. And he throw the pencil and paper down, and then I jump in my car and I go park it in the stall. I run back to the apartment and nobody's in there. So I'm like, where everybody at? So I go outside and I'm screaming, Don Juan, Lace Dog, where y'all at? And then the police, SWAT, they just hit me, boom. And they put me on the car, they handcuffed me. They're like, was you in that house trying to steal? I was like, no, I wasn't doing anything. And then I was like, Lord, if I get out of this, I'm not gonna do no more robberies. And as soon as I said that, the sergeant came, he walked up and he emptied my pockets. And I told you guys I just got out of jail for a home invasion. And he opened up my paper and he was like, let him go. He'd be an idiot to do a robbery. And look, he just got out of jail 4 hours ago. And that's how they let me go. After that, I never did a robbery again. But my two friends that was with me, they both got 20 years because they was robbing bars. So that would have been me if I didn't go through that, you know. So, you know, I ended up, from there, I said, I'm gonna start back selling drugs. So I called my aunt, my connect in LA, went to LA, and I got caught up and got caught with like 2 chickens or kilos. And they arrested me and my brother. They let me out and I came to Vegas. For 18 years I was on the run. I turned myself in 2015. I beat my case in 2016. And when I beat my case, I said what I'm gonna do is give my life to people that had incarcerated individuals, kids, minorities, projects, communities that grew up like me with drugs, with mental health issues, and I'm gonna help them, hopefully to inspire them that don't let where you start off dictate where you end up in life. So I ended up beating my case, and then I did a movie. When I did a movie, it's called Checkmate. I did my movie Checkmate, and then I ran into, her name is Yvonne Rainey, and she was like, yeah, I see you working with the kids, you're doing movies, you're an underground, you know, music star. You need to do what you do and do it at a higher level and try for politics. And I was like, nah, man, why? She said, I'm a libertarian. What's a libertarian? She was a libertarian, believes in freedom, equality, and justice for all. And I said, I'm a Democrat. My grandma, my great-grandma, she said, that's the problem. You know, you should read up on this. And I read up on it. And then I said, yeah, I want to try to be a politician. And that's when I dove in 2018. And I was telling her, like, I'm scared that they're gonna bring up my past of me selling drugs, me having girls, me doing this. And she said, at least you telling us, at least you're in our face telling us, we have to find out what's going on with them, you know? And that's why I'm here with you guys now, because my journey, it was a hard journey. It wasn't like it was paper cut, it was smooth. I lost my uncle that I told you guys gave me the gun. He got shot 5 times. He got killed. The persons who did it, he knew because he let him in his house because he buzzed him in. My best friend, one of my best friends, his name was Malcolm Hardy. He was going to California to get some cocaine, and they tied him up in a chair and they shot him twice in the back of the head on Figueroa Street. And my friends got RICO Act, and they were incarcerated for over 20 years. And, you know, so it was a hard struggle to get to where I'm at now. So now when they see me, they ask me, how can we get better to a better place? How did you get to where you're at now? For one, I was in, like, when my mom, when I was going through the troubles in school, she sent me to Voltech High School, which is a vocational school. And that separated me from going to Rancho, because I was going to Rancho, I was getting suspended all the time. And when I went to Voltech, it taught me how to type, it taught me how to work with computers. So I was kind of up like a step ahead of the regular kid. So education is a big part of breaking the systematic cycle that we're in, you know, because a lot of my friends, when they get out of jail, they don't have, like, you have a felony, you can't get a job. Even if you write it down and be truthful, you can't get a job as a felony. So I had the 3 felonies that I was telling you guys about. It stopped me from getting a lot of jobs because I had to write it down. So I tell a lot of my friends, we need to, the reason I'm running for political position as a congressional candidate is because I want to implement different programs to help individuals that was incarcerated get out of jail and be able to go into jobs, set a person up for a job, or career jobs, paying $20, not a job at Popeyes or something or McDonald's, because they're gonna quit. I tell people all the time, my friends, they're gonna quit if you put them in McDonald's, but we need to put our apples in one basket with us reiterating back into the system, because that's the hardest part. When you get out of jail, you don't have nothing. You don't have clothes, you don't have money, and then when you try to get it, you can't get it because you have a felony. And the families like you guys, you hold us down. The women pretty much hold the males down because we don't have anything. And then when we get out, we try to get a job. They say no, this or that. Then we go back to hustling, and now we back in the system again. You know, and so we need to do apprenticeship programs. We need to put apprenticeship programs. We need different, I think we need different training courses to help individuals get acclimated into society, like just basic stuff, like helping them to work on their phone, their cell phone. Because my uncles, they get out of jail and I'd be like, you don't know how to work your cell phone? And I forget that they've been out of society so long that they're behind. So, you know, I just feel like so many of my friends, like I have a cousin that has 40, he did 40 years. He's on 40 years. This is his 8th year. He got 40 years. He was robbing Walmarts. He was the security for Walmart, so he knew all of the times that they'd be having the money and putting it in the safe, and he would do his thing and rob them. How he got caught, he would use one of the cell phones that all of the hostages, he'd take their cell phones, so he used it, and it pinged, and they came and got him. So they wanted to give him 50 years, but they ended up giving him 40 years, and he's gonna do 20. So just one wrong decision, and our youth, you know, I feel like we need to get to our youth before they get to guns, before they get to robbing, before they get to stealing. Because most of my friends, my homeboys from the block, they stop me all the time. They're like, man, we need you to help us get our babies. We tired of being in jail, and then they come in and doing the same thing we doing. You gotta teach them to do different. So that's why I'm opening up community centers, so I could bring in programs that could help get them GEDs, and that's what we need for, you know, the convicts or the ex-felons or whatever that's out of jail. Some of them haven't even graduated. So I wanna help them to get GEDs, diplomas, because without GEDs and diplomas, it's very hard getting a job. No GED, no diploma, and a felony. Those are all red marks, and it makes it hard for you to fit back into society. So these are just some of the things that I'm implementing and about to do to help us, because that's a big struggle in our community. When you get out of jail, you can't get a job, and you go back to doing what you do, and you go back to jail. That's like a merry-go-round, a situation that keeps happening and happening and happening and happening. But we gotta have a person like myself or people like you guys to advocate for change and how to help individuals, like whoever you're with. I don't know if you have a husband or a boyfriend or a child incarcerated, but we need individuals like yourself to advocate for change. And that's the hardest thing. They don't look at me, I'm an African American. They don't look at me as being equal. And when you're an ex-felon, it's the same thing. They don't look at you as being equal. So the only way that we can create change is by advocating for different packages and different type of training to happen so we can get reactivated and energized and up to par to what's going on. Because now you can vote in Las Vegas. You guys know ex-felons can vote in Las Vegas? You know that? We can vote now without any catch. Because before, if you voted and you had an ex-felon and you were ex-felon or on probation and they seen that you voted, they'll take you to jail. So now it's just straight across the board. You can vote long as you're not in jail, you can vote. So that's another thing that's good for us. But we still have to get programs to help families Also, whether it be eating, whether food, whether it be Wi-Fi, we need some sort of programs helping those individuals, because if your father is gone from a home, like me growing up with a father was one of the worst things that could have happened. Because if I had a father, maybe I would have been a lawyer, because I would have stability. And everything, the foundation starts from our families. Starts from support. If you don't support whoever you have in jail, they go crazy, right? I know my friends is like, we don't have nobody and this and that. When they don't have anyone in jail, they go crazy in there, you know? So support system is the first thing that we have to address. Hopefully, somehow we can support them to the best of the ability that we can, but I just know that we need advocates like you guys to think of different, brainstorm and think of different ideas to help whoever you know, whether it be your brother, your cousin, your sister, your friend, your husband, your wife, acclimate back into society.